Welcome. Today, we're going to explore the question of why the future is female. And we've got a lot of really interesting information for you. Today, women globally have more opportunities and rising incomes. And we're going to look at what product developers need to know to plug into the key triggers for them. And we have a great pair of people we're going to get some insights from today. Sven Ghyselinck, who is CEO of Devan International Group, and Tom Palmaerts, who is a partner and chief of trend at Trendwolves. So good morning, gentlemen, and let's get going.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for having us.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for having us as well. Good morning to you. And good to see each other now. Unfortunately, not at Heimtextil Frankfurt, where we normally see each other, but having us here now virtually. So really looking forward to a topic which is very dear to our heart, which is women. And I think we all in the textile industry know that how important women are and how important they are for decision making, but also how important they are from a consumer group point of view. So maybe a bit strange to have two men in your audience for your questions, but still we believe we're very motivated to talk about a topic I know which is also relevant for you.
Can we talk a little bit about the status of women globally and their purchasing power, Tom?
It's true, the status of women is changing past years. Few levels. First, education. We see that women are becoming more and more highly educated. For instance, in Emirati, we see that women, 43% of women have a high degree in school. And men, it's only 25%. You see worldwide, women are getting smarter than men. And then it's not only education, it's also truly power. The Spanish government, 2 out of the 3 people in the parliament are women. And actually, you in the US, you have the first female vice president. So it's not only that women are getting smarter than men, but also getting more and more power than men.
Is there any difference in the priorities for married women versus single women?
I think you have to know that the idea of a traditional family is changing. And you, from a communication perspective, from marketing perspective, definitely also from product design perspective, you need to think about this. For instance, the number of singles is rising worldwide. Different cities worldwide now already 50% of our households are existing of one person sometimes with a child, but only one person. So the number of singles is rising. And of course, when you have women that are highly educated, they earn a lot of money and they have power, they will have other things on their mind. The reason why you have so many singles, the driver of change here is first, more and more people are choosing to be single. You have more and more older people, and the society is getting older. But then you also have the number of divorces. So there is a certain period that you again are on your own.
Sven, what are the key issues for women that product developers should keep in mind?
Well, that's a good question. I think it starts with accepting that there are different women segments throughout the world, each with their specific needs. And there's a bit of a resemblance to when I look back at the cycling industry, for example. When the cycling industry discovered women, what you saw was every women's product either contained pink or had to show a flower. As if all women like pink or all women prefer flowers as their most preferred visual. Of course, in the cycling industry, things have evolved, but there's a little bit of resemblance when I look at the home textiles market, where still I do notice quite a high dominance of flower type of patterns, very pastel type of color shading, where I sometimes wonder, well, is that what women all want? Are they not better serviced with a higher functionality or with more specific women functionality, maybe even women functionality depending on age? Those are things which I think could be improved and will be improved by certain brands and retailers in the coming months and years.
How important is the concept of body positivity and body respect?
Well, body positivity or body respect is undoubtedly a very strong sociological movement that has been going on for now a number of years. I think when you look internationally, you will see that quite a bit of women have abandoned the archetype of skinny models. So as we all know, everybody is shaped differently, and that does not always coincide with how marketing visuals would like us to believe. So in the build-up to this inspiration note, we looked into how various retailers across the entire textile scala is showing women. And you do notice, for example, with H&M, that they are showing models which are much more normal, as you would say. So they show different sizes, they show different ages, they show different colors, which is a much more natural overview of women compared to, well, years ago, or compared to some traditional brands which still show rather young, rather skinny, rather quite perfect models. As we all know, as we grow older, well, unfortunately, our bodies are less perfect than when they're younger. And for some of us, well, our body was never perfect, so we have to live with that, and that's how nature builds us. So I believe it is very important to recognize those realities and to still treasure these realities. And there's nothing wrong with a little bit more size or with a little bit more wrinkle. It's just what it is.
What are the purchasing triggers around these issues?
With regards to the triggers, consumer triggers, well, it's a very, obviously there's no single answer to your question. The point, what we believe, is that it goes beyond just fabric or color. We think that that women are much more holistic shoppers, and that currently women are too much reduced to just color and certain fabrics. Probably most likely we could add much more functionality to home textiles and to show them that, for example, by adding a scent or by adding hydration to nurture your body, or by adding our Revital Q10, for example, to prevent further or to reduce the aging effect of your skin, could be a very welcome addition to people's collections. Even in home textiles, we notice that all these functionalities throughout the last couple of years have gradually increased in importance from a consumer perspective and from a consumer selection. So yes, there are different trigger points, and I would rather invite people to think much more holistically than just color and design.
Sven, you've referred to skincare as self-care. Is it related to creating a spa experience, or is it something deeper and richer?
Well, I believe it's actually both. I think quite rightly so. I think people have been starved from being able to go to the outside wellness or to the spas in hotel resorts or in other specific places. And now we see many different people creating their own specific spa environments in their own private bathroom, for example. And just like when they go to a commercial spa, they would like to indulge themselves with the luxury towels, the luxury bathrobes, probably with some additional features on. And well, it's not just a luxury that the hospitality industry can offer you. We believe that brands or retailers could also offer that to consumers in their normal range of products. So the specific spa range is indeed an opportunity for the brands and the retailers, but it also goes beyond the specific private spa moments. Especially now during the last year, where people have been much more working from home, and having been clothing themselves less formally as before, we think that people are craving or are wanting a much more luxurious leisure wear, but also much more luxurious sleepwear. So people sometimes would like to have a more relaxing feel, a much more calming feel, and those things you can bring with with some of our Revital range, also with some of our natural scents. It's also additional functionality we can easily bring to both the towel range as well as the pillow range, as well as the bed sheets or the sleepwear. So for those specific luxury moments, it's an interesting idea from a spa experience, but it should not be only for the special moments. It can really be for your day-to-day consumption. And it covers both the outside as well as the mental side, and it could even help to increase or to boost your immunity of your body, which is, as we all know now, because of COVID, very important.
Those innovations that help you through textile to have that moment for yourself in your day-to-day life is actually really important when you look to young consumers. Generation Z, millennials, worldwide, for them, health from a holistic point of view is really important. And health, when you talk with baby boomers, people in their 60s, when you talk about health, for them it's walking with the dog, it's less fat, less sugar, but that's it. But when you talk to youngsters, health is about food, but it's also about your environment, it's about your friends, it's about feeling well. So healthy lifestyle is really, really important for youngsters worldwide.
Menopause for many women includes difficulties with sleep. What are the solutions around addressing that?
Well, it's a good question. I think there are two areas where I think textiles, home textiles, could bring an advantage to women in their menopause. As one of the very obvious topics, obviously, are the temperature swings and the hot flashes that menopause women encounter, where obviously very automatic. We think about cooling and moisture management functionality to your home textiles. Think about extra cooling levels, for example, with our biotones of cool on your pillow or on your mattress pad, but also for the high wash requirements of your bed sheets, for example. Our Move and Cool solution could be an interesting combination of a balanced form of moisture management with certain levels of thermoregulation. So those are kind of the obvious go-to functionalities for menopause women with regards to the very sudden temperature swings during the night, but also during the day. Now, less obvious are the real sleep issues that menopause women encounter during the night. It is very well researched that typically menopause women encounter 5 to 6 disturbances of their sleep during the night. Obviously, they do not always wake up in the middle of the night, but the sleep patterns are less balanced or are less normal, as I would say, compared to non-menopause women. Now, as you can imagine, if you don't have a good sleep during the night, and not just one night, but nights after nights after night, that becomes a very serious issue for these women. And not only when they wake up, but also, as it gradually goes on for days in a row, it really becomes a pattern that could affect them during the day as well. So from that perspective, it could be interesting to look into sleep promoting functionality in the bedding arena. So things like our vital valerian root with chamomile, which is historically a Central American, Southern American sleep aid, which we have been selling quite well in the US for several years now, could be of interest. Also CBD, which was very much of a hype pre-COVID, because of its calmness and its calming inducing effects, could also be very helpful for to add to your pillow or to your bedding products or to your sleepwear. So I believe the most obvious ones are what is cooling and moisture management related, maybe less intuitively, but really important is how can we maintain and how can we install a very good sleep pattern and maintain a sleep pattern. And I think menopause women will be very grateful if they could have these solutions much more.
What are the challenges of messaging around menopause?
Menopause remains a really difficult topic, a taboo topic. Although the numbers, it's incredible. Every day, 6,000 women in the US are reaching menopause. In UK, 1 out of the 3 women in UK, they already are in menopause. So it's enormous, it's a really big amount of customers.
I agree with Tom, Jennifer. It's indeed not an easy topic to communicate from a marketing perspective. Having said that, like Tom is saying, it's a very specific group, and if you look to how long women are in menopause, it is for a number of years. So it's not just a season where people have those issues. We believe it is something where people really are willing and looking to buy something that suits them to ease their way through that phase in their life. So I can well imagine that online home textile players, for example, make a specific offering and add the right tags to those products online so that they can really cater for that segment. Longer term, probably traditional retail could also step in. I mean, of course, you can make specific messages on your packaging, but the easiest will probably be just with a very well thought out online program supported by social media. So I really would like to welcome all the online players to think with us how to serve the menopause women in a much better way than they are able to get today.
How do you define modest fashion as a lifestyle, and what are some of the solutions that textiles can bring to that?
It's difficult to define modest fashion, but it's about empowerment. It's not about religion or extremism. It's about Muslim women, of course, but it's also about Jewish women, more traditional Christian women, but even just young hipsters. Even young hipsters are dressing themselves more modest. And so modest is not just one term, it's very broad. It's about empowerment, it's about freedom and self-expression.
I agree with Tom. It's really about something which is in its infancy stage. So modest fashion really is at the forefront of breaking up, of opening up. If you look to the world, quite a lot of people are indeed much more interested in modest fashion. And it's about color, it's about certain fabrics, it's about certain designs, but after all, it's also about certain functionalities or active ingredients. With the brands that we have been working together, we notice that there is clearly a strong interest in going back to historical ingredients. Take an example, people ask for specific argan oil because that is a tradition that comes back from Northern Africa already since centuries for hair care. But it also has different other flavors. So really we are very open and interested to work with those brands to go back to the origins of certain things and to bring those to the new forms of textile in the home textile world, in the clothing world, in the sleepwear world, in the towel world, even a turban, for example, to have your hair cared after you've washed your hair. I think marketing-wise, it's also important that we can offer the brands and the retailers specific certificates. Some of our ingredients do carry halal or kosher certification, which allows them to really specifically address to those consumer groups and gives them the assurance that everything was produced or extracted or developed in the way that they would like to receive it. So the halal and kosher certification, vegan certification is available from Devan.
One last question. Broadening the lens a bit to include women in their roles as caretakers of their families and their households. How's the consumer's thinking around sanitation and cleanliness changed during the COVID era? And how can products to address that?
Well, indeed, it goes without saying that the last year has been very impactful on how women, mothers, family members, I think every one of us has been much more involved with cleanliness and hygiene than ever before. I think throughout the world we have been bombarded by messaging that we should wash our hands much more frequent, much more thorough, much longer. So there's an overall much bigger awareness, call it this way, of hygiene and cleanliness. So yeah, we in the last year we have seen a much stronger demand for typical hygiene products, call it antimicrobials, call it virus reduction solutions, whatever you would like, to be put on textile, whether it's bed sheets, whether it's pillows, whether it's mattresses, but also on clothing aspects. Beyond the pure textile use, we also see that our antimicrobial solutions and virus reduction solutions are also now implemented on hard surfaces to really offer that extra cleanliness and comfort of mind to the different families. Besides the typical hygiene and antimicrobial and virus reduction solutions, we also see an increase in our allergen reduction products. People are more and more aware of the importance of a good immunity in their body, and as you well know, in the US, lots of people suffer from allergens and allergies, and well, we also see a stronger demand for these kind of products. Our Purissimo solution, for example, not only covers for pet allergens, but also has to do with dust mites, and now also increasingly we have very good solutions for pollen allergy. So, which means that the combination of those different allergens and the fact that that solution helps it reducing really gives an extra support for those families, and also helps them to their immunity system to be less attacked by other organisms, and helps them to protect better in a COVID environment. So yeah, it goes for textile on antimicrobial virus reduction, it goes on hard surfaces, but it also goes broader to allergen reduction to maintain your immunity system better.
How much of that change is permanent?
The start of 2021 is the start of vaccination process, but from a global perspective, it will take a year, 2 years until we will all be vaccinated. So it's going to take some time to go back to normal. But then the question is, indeed, what is that normal? What will remain after the COVID crisis? And if you look at the past, if you look at deep crises on a local level and even on a global level, you always see that at the end people go back to their normal life, but some things changed. There are elements that remains, and it can be that people are getting more tracked, or it can be that people are more focused on cleanness. It's really difficult to. It's easy to see the possible future scenarios, but it's impossible to really see the future.
Well, to add to Tom's point as well, I think when we look at those, at the period we're now in, I think what 9/11 meant for safety, I think this covered pandemic will definitely mean for cleanliness and hygiene. And of course, if your family is all vaccinated, you will probably loosen up much more in your behavior. And even with the friends and families you know who visit you and who you know well, who you trust well, who also have been vaccinated. But think about when you go to a hotel, to a hospitality environment, when you go to certain events, how will you behave then? I believe that the companies in the hospitality world, in the eventing world, will be much more focused on hygiene in a much longer period of time than just the period to get everybody vaccinated. So in how much is it permanent? I do agree with Tom. I think we all hope to go back as quickly as possible to some form of normality with the people we like to have in our bubble, we like to have in our extended bubble. But we all will come to new situations or new environments where I think for a number of years we will have an increased sense of hygienic demand. And that probably will take, 2025 or even beyond. So I think that is an element we should take into our consideration when we develop new collections as well and think about future functionality on hygiene.
Well, thank you both. I think you brought a lot of insights to this conversation. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us, Jennifer. I think it was a very interesting session, and we'd like to thank you once more for those interesting questions and this chat. Look forward to speak to you soon again later this year. Bye.
Hopefully in real life. Bye-bye.
And to everyone who joined us, thank you so much. This will be recorded and posted for later review and to share with people who you think would love to hear more about this subject. Bye.